Hey everyone, welcome to another build. So this one is going to be modifying the San Andreas. Now, the San Andreas lost the last games. It did not do particularly well. It wasn't really built for it. It was made to mimic a lowrider, specifically the ones from San Andreas, and a bit of my own interpretation, and that is pretty much exactly what it has done, and it did it well. It's not a race car by any means. However, we're going to change that today. We're going to be trying to mimic the Buick GNX. Of course, it's going to be our own interpretation, but we're going to steal a few little details from that and then just kind of wing the rest. So first things first, we have to increase the model year. Unfortunately, you can't do it for this because I've just cloned the trim, but you can see here the model year is changed to 1984, and the engine is also 1984. A little bit more modern tech on an old chassis, which is going to be interesting. Now for the engine itself, we're going V6. And we will also be going for twin turbo. Now, this game does not allow single turbo V6s, at least it doesn't currently, so we're going for a twin turbo V6. And that's pretty much all that I'm going to take from the GNX. However, we are going to copy its displacement. I'm going to increase the stroke now and just give it a nice, I guess, a 3.8 liter, just like that. Will fit us pretty much perfectly, and we're going to be sticking with rear wheel drive as well, so that's pretty much perfect. In an effort to keep this video a little bit shorter than the last one, I'm going to kind of breeze through this one a little bit. What we're going to try and do, like, I know that the actual GNX had under 300 horsepower. This car currently has 300 horsepower, so my goal is to get 350 horsepower. That's not anything crazy. It doesn't need to be too crazy. But I'm thinking we'll put some modern tech on it. We'll just keep everything cast, but we want to just have a little jump in power in comparison to the previous engine. And it's going to be a completely different type of ride as well, as it's, well, a completely different engine. It's twin turbo V6 instead of a naturally aspirated V8. So I'm keeping everything cast for now. I'm going to leave the quality where it is. We'll have to come back to that. And here we go, twin turbos. Let's go ball bearing turbos just because it feels right. We'll go for a performance turbo. We might end up changing that, and we'll come back to that later. I'm gonna go injection, and I'm gonna try multi-point injection. We'll just keep it a little bit reasonable. As I say that, it does that. Maybe okay. We'll stick with a standard intake for now. And oh geez, it seems like leaded fuel might be the best way to go here. All right, so this is our current setup. We're gonna stick to dual exhaust, and we'll just go no mufflers because, I mean, who needs mufflers anyway? Currently it makes 74 horsepower, but it is knocking badly, so we have some work to do. It seems like the compression is probably a little bit too high. Alright, just by lowering the compression, we've got a pretty easy 264 horsepower. Now we could tune this thing and make it extremely good, I have no doubt about that. But what I want to do, just starting things off, I'm gonna set some sort of goals for myself. I don't want to get into race parts. I don't want to get into extremes. I just want to keep it pretty average. For now, we're gonna try and get decent reliability as well. These are not exactly in a good position currently. If we take a look at restrictions, it seems the exhaust is a little restrictive, so we should be able to get a lot of power out of that. And our intercooler as well is a little restrictive, so if we bump that up, we should be able to, yeah, pretty easily get past 300 horsepower. That's pretty easy to do there. Now we can get more power by raising the compressor size, and also we can probably get more power by increasing the turbine size as well. But for now I'm going to avoid doing that. The turbos themselves are a decent size. We don't want to get too crazy. For now though, let's just keep going with compression and fuel. Alright, so I've bumped up some of our performance parts just a little bit. I've increased the strength of the internals just by changing them out for other things, but it seems that our turbine is quite restrictive, as we are, well, gaining a decent amount of power from modifying it. And there we go. Now it's very clear we can get a lot more power out of this, but 350 horsepower, a torque curve that isn't horrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I think this is a bit of a more reasonable build. I like it. Everything in this season doesn't need to be crazy, and I should say that now. Alright, so one of my goals for this season is I don't want to have any crazy cars like the Bomero and the Saint Ultra R with like insane horsepower. Like with the new Owl, for example, it has a V16, so we could probably cram another like 2,000 or 3,000 horsepower out of it. But I don't want to do that. I want to stick to the normal stuff here. We're going to try and keep things a little more reasonable this season and have it be a better competition. So that's the goal, at least. We'll see how long that lasts. But let's get to styling. Now, this car is currently a nice blue with a nice white, but, well, it needs to be changed if it's going to be the Grand National. We've got to go black with a, I guess we can go for a medium of flake and also shine. That should be fine just like that. Okay, so we'll leave that there. Now, trim is currently chrome on the GNX. It is black as well, so we're going to be painting this car black again. It's going to be black on black, and then again on black. Now the wheels, so we have different parts of the wheels. The wheels themselves are indeed black, but the outer trim of the wheels isn't. So if we can change... Oh, that's the wrong one. Right, so that changed the inner part of the wheel to be black, or chrome I mean, but that's not what I want. So it must be this part here, which is the... There we go. So we have a chrome outer piece. I think I'm actually going to make that this night. Actually, we are going to have to make something else then, because what I want to do ideally is make it a steel color. There we go. So we have this color here. This is just steel. I haven't been naming the paints because I'm way too lazy for that. I think I'm actually going to lighten that up just a little bit more, because I'm looking at a picture of one right now and it does look quite a bit lighter. We'll be changing the wheels though. This is just a quick go over here. So that is that. And we have eliminated quite a bit of the chrome, but we're not done yet. The misc slot here, our brakes are chrome as well. Well, let's just make them red. That makes a little bit more sense. Fixtures. Now I do not want to change the core pieces of this car. I like it the way it is. However, again, the chrome, it's not allowed. We have to put on some black parts here. We're just going to change everything that we can to be black on a lot of these areas, and I think it's going to come out a little bit nicer. Oh yeah, we're starting to look sleek already. Now the mirrors, they are going to be black as well, and all this chrome side trim is actually body colored already, so it's changed itself automatically, which is really cool. So we don't even have to mess with that. Nice. Now the door handles, the fridge door handles are going to stay, but again, they're going to be black. This car has been officially blacked out. Now the headlights are a bit of a thing here. We could modify them, but I'm thinking we'll probably end up leaving them as is. We're going to delete the top supercharger, which if I can click on it, there we go. We don't need that for this. And we're going to put this symbol down here just to be a little extra authentic. I think that actually looks pretty decent. Alright, so our exhaust. We currently have chrome exhaust. I think I have, or I did have some mods for exhaust, but apparently they are not currently working with this feature, or with this version of the game at least. So what I want to do instead, I believe that the exhaust comes out sideways on this car. So we'll put them out the sides just like this, and we'll make them a little bit bigger to compensate. But yeah, we had to go dual exhaust, and obviously we had to put the pipes straight out the back just like this. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's pretty much all we can do for this. I can't even change the color of those type of exhausts, which, yeah, kind of sad, but it's fine. I think for the plate, I'm going to swap them out for sport plates instead of elite. I think that'll be just a little extra detail there to separate this. And we also need some badging to separate this from the normal San Andreas. This little mountain here can go, and I guess what we can do... when it comes to exterior details, just while I'm thinking about the back and what I want to do in terms of like badging, I've added some vents to it as well, just because that's authentic, and I was thinking that we should probably add a bump in the hood as well, just because this is supposed to be a GNX. However, a lot of the bumps in the hood in this game are a little bit too abrupt. It just needs to be the slightest little thing, but we'll see here. Alright, I added this little bump here. I like that. I think that it's going to work for us. We'll just make it a little bit wider. It's not too obvious, but it's just like a little touch. And I think that that'll work for this. So when it comes to badging, we need to quickly just see what kind of options we have. Unfortunately, letters are still not colorable, at least these current ones, so we can't really put exactly what I want on the back of this. So what we'll probably instead have to do... Alright, I came up with a decent idea. All I've done now is just chopped off those letters, and I'm going to write AFX on the back, and I think that that should be good. All we have to do for the little dash is replace that with an I, and we should be good. I'm just gonna set this one up here. Alright, so it just says AFX there, and I was thinking about a turbo badge possibly, but not 100%. Not really, like, I'm not too into these ones. I guess what we could do is just have a smaller, I guess slightly smaller turbo on the side. That's not terrible actually. I think I'm gonna leave that. I like having badges on both sides rather than just one. But in terms of styling, I think our Grand National, or kind of Grand National version of the San Andreas is set. Now what we need to do is go ahead and do the drivetrain. Now this is an area where this car struggled before. It definitely had some wheel spin issues. We're going to keep the rear wheel drive. We're going to go manual. We'll go 5-speed as well. And top speed is good. A little bit of wheel spin here, but we're going to go for an LSD. So that should help. I want to have a decent 0 to 60, even being rear wheel drive, so we'll have to see how this goes. Now having higher spacing is affecting our wheel spin, as you would suspect. But what we're going to do this time is... Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to change the rims. But hold on a minute. We need wider tires. There is no replacement for this on this car. We're going to change the offsets down. I think what I'm going to do is just shrink these a touch. Maybe a little bit wider in the back. And we should be better off, like quite a bit better off. On the wheel spin front. We're going to up the rim size to 16, and we're going to also up the actual wheel size as well. I don't think it's going to be quite this tucked, so I'm going to up that a little more. And I think we're good there. Okay, let's go back to the wheels, as I forgot to do those. The Grand National has sort of spoked wheels. Now these ones are spoked, but it's just not the same. Oh, actually that's not a bad look right there. We could probably get away with that, although those might be the same wheels that I used before. Alright, I'm in a debate with myself currently. It's either going to be these or possibly these, and I'm not even sure which ones I'm going to go with. I know that we've used these before, so I think I'm going to mix it up just a little bit and go for these. And then actually when we go back to paint, on these wheels specifically, I want to know what does this color do? Okay, so that is the whole outside color. And then this color here, what color is this affecting? Oh, interesting. So that's just the outside piece there. Okay, so we'll just leave all that black. And I think we're good there. Now if we go back to the wheel spin, things are a little bit better than they were before. We're going to increase this just a touch. That should help with things. Brakes now. The San Andreas wasn't terrible on brakes, but you can see they are pretty decently sized, which has helped us quite a bit. In terms of the braking graph, we need to keep that in mind. So this is the front brakes. As you can see, our grip line is quite a bit higher than the actual front brakes are, so we need to increase that. And then the back brakes as well, they just need to be a little bit higher. We could go vented discs, but I think we're going to be fine with that as is. Okay, downforce. We'll go semi-clad on the downforce, and we can't have active wings and such, but we have very little front downforce, but at least it's not lift, so I'm going to consider that to be a good thing. Steering is off as usual. I don't really know what to do with this graph, but I think we're good here. Now seats, we're going to assume that it's probably the same, as well as interior and stuff we're just leaving as is. No traction aids, no safety. Who even needs that stuff? Suspension wise, I'm going to go back to standard. I'm going to go gas monotube, and we'll go for a quick race preset. Maybe let's go sport preset. Actually, yeah, the sport preset's a little bit better. The ride height at least makes it look quite a bit better. What we need to do though, you can see our drivability and such are a little bit low, so we'll have to adjust things until that works. So it seems like there's a sweet spot right about here for the front tire width, and if that tooltip would go away, we could see the rear tire width, The sweet spot is as big as they can get. Rim diameter, I think we can shrink that by 1. I know I made them a little bit bigger. I don't know. I like the size. If we shrink this down, that doesn't seem to do that much. Although, yeah, it's raising the sportiness but lowering the drivability. I mean, we have super low profile. That just doesn't make sense for this car. So with about as big as we can get, we'll have some monster wheels on this thing. So that seems like it might be it. When it comes to this line here, I think we're pretty much set. I'm just going to leave it as is most likely with this. We'll just do the one slight adjustment and we should be good to go. The 350 horsepower San Andreas AFX appears to be ready to go. Let's go test it out in Beam and see what it's like. We're going to compare it to the previous San Andreas just like we have been so far, and it should be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Alright, so here's our Grand National clone. Okay, it's not a clone. In-game. It actually turned out pretty decent. I think that overall it turned out pretty much exactly as I would have hoped. Nice look to it, nice black. It's a little bit more shiny than maybe it should be, but I really like the all blacked out look on the San Andreas. I really like taking these cars and then changing them into something just a little bit different. Like, it's still got the soul of the San Andreas there, but now with a lot more power. So let's give it a shot. Twin turbo V6 is quite a bit more powerful than the V8. It's only got 50 more, but it just feels a little bit better. I believe that this is actually lighter. I'm not 100% on that. I guess that would make sense, but roughly it would be the same weight. We're kind of driving into an area of the map that doesn't exist, but I think you'll still see what I mean though. Like driving potential wise, this car is quite good, and it is interesting in terms of characteristics. Now when I say interesting, I mean, to me it feels pretty much the same as the San Andreas. It's definitely got better acceleration, and it does have a better top speed. It's much more track oriented than that car, especially with the wheels and the grip. But I don't know, it doesn't feel like a huge improvement in terms of speed, so it's going to take, well, a lap time or two to see what it'll actually do in terms of differences between the two. So let's do a quick comparison. Let's jump over to the San Andreas as it used to be, and then we'll drive that one as well, just to get a bit of a feel. Alright, so this is the V8 San Andreas, back in the days of no limited slip. We do have a lockable diff, but the one wheel peel is real with this car. It does have quite a bit of torque, and you can definitely tell with this stuff. Just driving around these subdivisions, you have to be careful when you get off the gas. So we're going to drive pretty much the same way that we did with that other car. We're actually going to drive to it. But I just wanted to drive this car around just to get a little bit of a feel for it. And I'm going to do something that we did not do in the previous games. I'm going to lock the diff and see how much difference that makes. Alright, so let's give the diff a lock and we'll see. So it does spin both wheels, goodness, and it likes the game when the diff is locked. But it does have a decent amount of pickup. I'm assuming that the limited slip would do pretty much the same thing. However, it doesn't restrict turning as a locked diff does. Okay, so the school is just over there, and you can see we are missing the turn. It seems that the brakes on the new one are quite a bit better, but I'm thinking that the power plant in this one may be, even though like around 50 horsepower less, it's still pretty equal, and it'd be interesting to see them with the different chassis. So this is a view between the two. Let's see what we can do on the track though. Okay, so this track is one that I happened to do for a AutoFlux, okay, not AutoFlux Games, but a subscriber showcase. It is the automation test track, the old race circuit. So lap times here are approximately a minute. We're going to give it a go with the San Andreas low, and then we'll try the AFX and see what the difference is. Okay, we're taking off with the San Andreas. I haven't driven this course for a while, so this is going to be an interesting one. Hopefully it goes well. We're going on lock diff. We'll hopefully be able to contend with the wheel spin here. But I have driven this track. I don't remember which showcase this was, so I don't know how many times I drove it, but it was likely quite a few times. Throttle response in this car currently lacking. I remember with this one, my main complaint with the with the competitors was cars that had ESCs would really struggle around some of these corners and picking up speed around some of these corners in particular. Oh boy, this corner, I remember it. And the banking curve, I remember that too. I believe that this was the course that I had to turn off shadows for because it turned into a slideshow every time we went around there. But anyway, talking about the San Andreas, brakes are definitely going to be a strong point with this car as they're currently only at 50 degrees. Wheel spin is still an issue. Having a good pickup is still an issue just because of that wheel spin. And my confidence in this car is pretty low, especially around some of the corners here. With these really tiny wheels, it makes it hard to like believe in myself that I can actually make it around the corner. But that being said, we are going to place a decent time here of, let's see, so that is a 119.874. Okay, so we'll consider that for the next run. So I have reloaded the track and it's time to go with the AFX. I think if anything is going to benefit this car more than its predecessor, it's going to be the limited slip diff. And a little bit more modern tech really does make a difference. The V6 is a strong contender, but it seems like the whole chassis change is what's really going to change things here, especially the gearing. And also I've now just driven the track once, so I mean that is a minor advantage. Okay, driving so far, this car does feel pretty decent. I'm definitely throwing it around a little bit more than I probably should be. Makes for a bit of a sloppier lap, that's for sure. But, ooh. Okay, wheel spin is still an issue, but it's not as bad, thankfully. Again, it was the same year that we did the last games, but this season I want to have cars that are lower in wheel spin. And we are flying right now. Goodness, this car is reasonably quick. It's a little frighteningly quick actually, but I really... come on. I don't know how I feel about it. That was a bit of a lag there. We are definitely going to get a better time than the previous one, but I think it's mostly down to chassis more than anything else. So that's a 113, that's 6 seconds quicker. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the first rebuild here. Actually, it's not the first because the Rhino went first last time, but let me know what you think of this. We're going to be redoing the Owl next Friday, so that's a week from today. And actually on next Tuesday, we're going to be doing another bonus rebuild, just something for fun, just to mess around with things. So yeah, look forward to that. In an effort to make this video a little shorter, I'm going to cut it off here, but hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you again soon. Make sure to subscribe, we're almost at 10K.